Welcome to Contemporary Black Voices at Black Video Network, where we take on the most pressing issues important to Black America. I'm your host today, Chris Dawkins, with the writer Fred, along with Professor Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell and New York Times bestselling author Caleb Alexander. Today, we're having a discussion about the entertainment industry and it recreating itself. This first started in the music industry where every budding artist needed to sign a record deal with a major record company to obtain distribution. Distribution all changed when Apple created the iPod. Apple worked a deal with the record companies where if the recording companies would allow Apple to make available the record of the artist, then Apple would allow their customers to download the artist's music through a digital download. Apple's premise was by doing this, the company and the artist would expose themselves to a wider audience. The record companies agreed, and life for them has never been the same since. Yes, there's a wider number of people exposed to the artist, as well as it opened up an avenue for the up and coming new artists to be on the same level as the established artists. All music can be downloaded through a pristine digital download for 99 cents. The problem is record companies used to sell an album of material and they used to use the artist's single as the calling card to introduce the public to the artist's entire album. The record companies were selling an album for between $9 and $14. Now the public only buys what they like for 99 cents in a single song. This is a huge difference and doesn't take into account what the record companies were responsible for telling the artists how many records were sold and what the artist's cut would be. The record companies were unscrupulous and were known to be skilled liars, which resulted in the artists receiving less money than they were owed. Now, the same thing is happening to the movie industry. The major commercials companies like Warner Brothers, MGM, Sony still exist, but they are struggling at best to survive. And with COVID, that exacerbated the problem because it kept people out of the movie theaters. However, because people could not leave their homes, they began watching things like Netflix, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and the list goes on. The interesting caveat to all of this is when people began going back to the theaters, the people that were flocking to the movies were black people. Black movies, and we're here today to talk about the up and coming trends in the entertainment business. What is going on today and what it holds for our black artists, both known and unknown. So that's basically it as to what we think about the entertainment industry. As we go to also later on in one of our segments, we'll talk about hot topics and we'll talk about Sierra as well. But before we do that, we want to talk about the impact that over the past year, year and a half, that especially black movies and black artists have had on the entertainment industry, especially as it relates to the movie.
Okay, well, I think that's a good thing myself. I think that's good that we are now showing our buying power through movies,
I agree.
and they're going to jump right on that bandwagon as they're doing with Wakanda and with Woman King, and I'm sure some more are going to be coming out. I understand they're doing one on another artist. So and they did one on Aretha Franklin,
Right,
Respect,
right.
and so we are showing them our buying power. The question is, when do we take control of it? When do we take control of it?
Well, that's a good question. But the one thing that I would like to point out is that the recent information that we've been getting is that both Tyler Perry and Byron Allen are working together to buy back BET, which I think is the first step that we can get to a place to where we can do it. Now, I know it's only for TV, but hopefully this will translate into doing movies. And Tyler Perry, of course, has been doing movies.
But at the same time, I may not be right, but I heard that Oprah had to sell her station. Owned? Did anyone hear that?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, she did.
well, she did. She sold a huge stake in it. She still is a minority owner in it.
But she's minority.
Right,
That means she can't control
Right.
the
Right.
programming
Right.
anymore. And
Right.
why would she do that?
she wasn't making any money.
No, I mean,
You think
I,
that's
no, I think it brought in additional revenue, and it's allowing her to expand her reach, her content, the number of markets that she's in, and so it was. And when I say she has a minority stake, but she's still the largest stakeholder, so her voice still matters.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Right, and so it was a brilliant business decision because it brought in a lot of revenue and it opened up additional markets.
Okay.
So when you talk about entertainment, you think saying that is a brilliant decision, then even though sports is what I call part of entertainment as well, the pending news that we're hearing about Michael Jordan,
Selling-
basically, basically doing the same thing.
Is he selling it?
Well, he's
That's
going to
the
give
word.
minority as opposed to him being, I guess, the sole owner. He's going to give some minority owners a stake in the business. So I'm asking you: is that brilliant on his part?
I mean, if he wants to cash out, because he took the franchise was what, a couple of $100,000, and now it's worth 1.6 billion.
Oh no, he bought it for I think $1 billion.
No,
it wasn't a
We
billion.
talk about Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah.
Yeah, no. He bought it for a couple of $100,000,
Oh.
and it's now worth 1.6
Oh,
billion.
well, it was a sale. I mean,
So
it was-
yeah, so if he wants to cash out on some of that, I could definitely see that. You know what I
Right.
mean? You could take 1.6 billion is a lot, and so
Right.
you can take that and you can do a lot with that
Right.
as far as investing in other ventures. So I mean, yeah. So again, it would be a brilliant move. But going back to your opening statement. So the part about Apple and stuff like. So I witnessed this from a different standpoint. I witnessed this from the rise of Amazon and when they brought in the Kindle and stuff. And so what that did was it took the power from the artists and gave it to the companies.
wow.
The same thing that Apple did. Whereas we were selling books for $14, $15, $20, we now you can't get that. You can't get that amount of money for a book anymore. And so Amazon devastated the publishing industry as far as the pricing. Now you can download. Same thing with Apple. You can download an ebook for 99 cents.
Right.
There was a period where everybody was doing 99-cent ebooks, 99-cent ebooks. And so you had people who were established authors who were looking around saying, I can't sell a book for 99 cents. And so we were devastated economically. I, at one point in time, was probably one of the highest paid ghostwriters in the country. And I could easily charge $100 grand for a book. I couldn't get nowhere near that now for a book.
So what is that doing? What is that doing then to the black authors?
It
And-
devastated us even more. You know
Sure.
what I mean? And so whereas it gave us leverage, look at the things that gave us leverage. We controlled prior to Amazon and Apple, we pretty much were able to control our content. We were pretty much able to dictate our price and then what we wanted to charge. The onset of Amazon has punished publishing companies. A few years ago, they got into a feud, I think it was with Random House or somebody, and they refused to sell Random House's books or whoever the major publishing company was. The major publishing company was devastated because everybody gets their books from Amazon.
Yeah.
You had the brick and mortar stores are closed pretty much. So it's the convenience of ordering from Amazon. It's the onset of digital technology. Everybody using Kindles and iPads and ebooks. And so Amazon is able to, they're not the 900-pound gorilla, they are the 20,000-pound gorilla. And so they're able to punish companies by saying, we're not going to sell your stuff.
Well, let me expand this then into even more of a worldwide type of situation. When you go on the internet, when you look at different things like that, everybody's saying, well, I've got this for you for free, or you can buy this particular book, just pay for shipping. You've got all of this stuff. So are we developing a society that is expecting a lot for almost nothing?
Well, it's always been, that's economics. That's how it always worked.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because before we would pay the $9 or the $15 for an album, we'd get 9 songs. Well, now we spend 99 cents and we get the one song, so the artist doesn't get all the money. And so you're trying to figure, same thing you're talking about with the books. If you're buying a book for 99 cents, okay, then we're expecting that now, whereas before we were paying almost $20 for a book.
Well, I mean, it's the same. It's kind of the same thing as when you look at all the industries, right? Same thing with what you're used to paying for music. Same thing what you're used to paying for the milk. The same thing you're used to paying for cereal. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah, but milk went up, not down.
But I tell you what, when you look at the cereal, when they talk about this all the time, right? The cereal went up, but the amount of cereal that you get went down, right?
That's right. Right.
Right. The price of Doritos went up, but the amount of air in that bag also went up, right?
Right.
So I mean, it's economics, you know, and it's always been the same. But I also want to mention this though. With as an artist, when you go to Amazon and you want to upload a book on Amazon, Amazon takes 60% off the top.
Yeah.
I want you to know that. So
Wow.
yeah, so that you're left with 40% of 99 cents.
Well, let me, you know, since you were in the book and I was in the music industry, let me tell you about the music industry. They were taking, give you an example. Michael Jackson had the best deal in the business, and he was only getting about 20%. So the record company's getting 80%. So think about how much money the record company made when they did things like Thriller and all of that kind of stuff, and he only got 20%, and he made oodles of money. Think about what the cash flow was like for the record companies. It was ungodly.
Now, has that changed?
It's only changed because everything has changed. Yes, it has changed, because the one thing that the record companies, they're looking for people off of YouTube. They're looking for influencers, different things like that. So when you come to them now, you almost have to have your audience in place before anything else. Prior to that, it was you were the artist and the record company created the audience for you through the distribution and the other things that you did. So that's how it's different now than it was then. But what also happened, I think that with some of our artists, some of our audience will appreciate this. The hip hop and rap music really changed also how they were a precursor to this download, because the record companies never thought or gave the rappers the credit that they deserved. And what they were doing is selling records out of the trunk of their cars. And it only became, matter of fact, that's what made Master P so much money, because they gave Master P a hell of a deal, thinking he would never be able to fulfill it. And he fulfilled it, exceeded it, multiplied it, and did whatever, and they had to pay him.
Well, yeah, I even the correlation to that in the publishing industry, you had you had Terry Woods and you had Vicky Stringer, who started off selling books out of the trunk of their cars. And
Terry Woods and who?
Vicky Stringer.
Okay.
They probably are the ones that revived what they call the urban lit genre.
Give us some examples of what they wrote. Uh-oh. Did I put you on the spot?
What I wrote.
Oh, what you wrote?
What I wrote. No, so like I said,
One was
I
on BET.
Yeah, True to the Game was on. It's on Netflix, BET, a few other things. And so, like I said, I was a ghostwriter, and it's kind of same. It's kind of similar. So these people who already had their brands, and so they would take my work and say, I can sell this with this person's name on it. And which is true. This person with this name would sell 1 million more copies than Joe Blow would sell.
Sure.
And so that's how that was my niche in the industry. I'd write dozens of books and they put them out under different people's names. They kind of revived the urban lit genre, and it kind of expanded and blew up from there. And as soon as they got it started, a lot of the major companies jumped in on it because of course they want a piece of that. When they see the numbers and the profits and the success, they definitely jump in and want a piece of that.
All the time, right?
All the time. Yeah.
So let me ask this: Is there a way for you to continue to do what you were doing and for it to be profitable?
In a way. I can't get the numbers I got from ghostwriting, but because I already have an established name, I can go back to the majors because I already have that built. As far as a new person trying to break into the industry, like you were saying, they want to know numbers. They want to know how many followers you have. That matters more than anything nowadays. How many people you got following you? You know what I mean? How many likes you get? How many posts you do? And that kind of stuff matters more than anything.
And why would you want to go to a major if you already established all that yourself?
Right. And so again, but at the same time, what the majors can provide in certain instances is distribution. And so it's getting on all the shelves, at Walmart, getting on all the shelves at who's still left? Is it Barnes and Noble still left? Getting on all the shelves at Barnes and Nobles. And so it's the marketing power. It's the giant posters in the subway station in New York. You know what I mean? And so it's that marketing power. Yeah.
Because you mentioned it earlier. Shelving books is going out. It's going out. I mean, Barnes and Noble is still in business because you're going to buy everything else besides books.
Right.
Borders is gone.
Borders is gone. Right.
And you mentioned because of Amazon.
Amazon is Amazon. So, but I have seen there's an uptick. There's a people who do want books. They want the physical books. And so I'm one of those kind of people. I will not read a book on a Kindle.
I won't either.
I won't. I'll buy the book. And so there's been an uptick since that happened, and everybody ran and got these Kindles and stuff. There's been an uptick of people who want physical books.
Right. Exactly.
So let me ask you, Fred. You and I talked off camera at one point, and you were talking about being able to self-publish, and that you would be able to. Can you talk a little bit about that?
About self-publishing?
Well, and how a person, there's a lot of people that are probably viewers who would like to know from both you and Caleb as to how you would do that. And both of you have been successful in doing that. So, but you are one who talked about the actual publishing part of it, because you were saying also Amazon was taking so much money.
Well, yeah, we were talking about your friend who went to Amazon.
Right.
And I told you he shouldn't do that. He should do it himself, or go to here's a major problem. There's two major problems. Number one is writers, we think if we can get in Random House, white folks will tell us we can write. Oh, I can write because Random House took me.
Right.
And you don't need Random House for white folks to tell you can write. I have never in all my books tried to get an agent or go to any of those places, because what happens, an editor at Random House has a young girl probably graduated from the East Coast schools who read their book first, and if she don't like it, then your chances of getting published with them are gone. Now here's what we need to do. Right here in this city, we have 5 different small black publishers, and we talked about this. Caleb and I talked about this before. We need to combine all that power, all that resources, and do one. And then here's the other thing. It's the mentality of our buyers. They think they're getting a better book if they buy it from Amazon than from a black press. And that's the same thing we talked about weeks ago in terms of integration.
I think the thing that a budding artist would want to know, just like with Apple was able to sell one song for 99 cents, it's easy for an artist to be able to upload to their platform and then to be able to sell one. they're not, the artists, aren't being subjected to a lot of overhead in doing
Right.
that.
And you said
The-
they made money, right?
Yeah, they made money. But the same thing can be said about the book. What people I think flock to Amazon for is because they will print on demand. So
do that
they will
also.
print one book at a time. Whereas maybe if I go to a different publisher, they're gonna tell me at least, hey, you're gonna have to buy at least 100,
Right.
100,000
But
books.
you don't have to do that. You can go to, let's use the example of Mario Salas, who controls his book. You can call Mario and say, hey, look, I want to buy one of your books. If he has a relationship with Lightning Source, if he's loaded in account with Lightning Source, then he can order that book for that person, one book, and have it shipped right to the person. You don't have to use Amazon. And my point, I've been talking to some brothers here, is that we need to come together and have only one publishing company, and all of us have some, well, maybe not mine are that good, but the rest of these guys, like, Caleb's got some outstanding books, man.
Well, let's stop
Outstanding
right
books.
there. We're going to bring it when we step back,
Okay.
when we come back from the break, and we want to talk a little bit more about that and talk about Caleb and figure out how we can get those budding people into the industry, and we want to talk about how the industry is also changing and making things available for us. We'll be right back.